a car mechanic at his own shop, Riley's Garage, on the northeast corner of 19th and Dolores. On June 20th, the car, or what was left of it, was recovered. Its doors were gone, as were the tires. The body had been tagged by what must have been every kid with a can of spray paint in the neighborhood. The car had been abandoned on Moscow Street, hard by the Crocker-Amazon playground, a common dump spot south of the 280 freeway, almost to the city limits. Besides the traces of cocaine, marijuana seeds and roaches, beer cans and other debris, the car yielded such a beautiful fingerprint, in blood, on the back side of the steering wheel, that Shawanda Mboto, the San Francisco Police Department specialist in these matters, let out a war whoop from her perch by her microscope. It took less than a day to verify that the blood was in fact Michael Mullen's. The fingerprint belonged to an African-American career criminal named Jerome Reese. Jerome Reese was 20 years old. He had first visited the Youth Guidance Center at the age of 14, when, without a regular domicile, he was convicted in juvenile court of stealing a pair of Air Jordan tennis shoes from Rhonda Prideaux after he had beaten him up. His accomplice in that crime, the boy who had held Rhonda down by kneeling on his upper arms and pounding away at his face while his shoes were stripped off, was another youth, Wesley Ames, better known as Tooth, because he had only one left on the top, right up front. Over the next 4 years, Jerome Reese acquired a juvenile rap sheet, mostly stealing and, when he needed to, doing some minor violence, often with his fists, although once he used a metal pipe and once a rock. He spent his 18th birthday in a courtroom. Though Jerome had not yet turned 18 when he robbed the Portola liquor store on Ocean, this time he had had a gun in his possession, which on his arrest he said had been a toy. Jerome's toy, never located, had given a concussion to Meyer Goldsmith, the owner. Jerome's public defender, Gina Roque, had prevailed with her argument for leniency on the grounds that technically this was Jerome's first offense, as an adult. Whether persuaded by this argument or exhausted at the end of another long day at the bench, Municipal Court Judge Thomas Langan had sent Jerome upstairs to the county jail for a year, of which, due to the overpopulation of the jail, he served 5 months and 21 days. Between the ages of 18.5, when he got out of jail on the Portola robbery, and 20, when his bloody fingerprint was identified on Michael Mullen's steering wheel, Jerome kept a low profile, and though he was brought to the hall and questioned several times, he was charged with no new crimes. Although Jerome lived and hung mostly in the Bayview district between Hunters Point and Candlestick Park, one of the coldest and most inhospitable environments in the state, at about midnight on June 21st-22nd, he was arrested by an African-American inspector sergeant of homicide named Ridley Banks as he exited the Kit Kat Club just north of Laguna, a long walk from Candlestick, after his presence had been reported by that establishment's owner, Momo House, who had some sort of arrangement with Sergeant Banks. Accustomed to the drill, Jerome offered no resistance. A search of Jerome's given address, an apartment he shared with an 18-year-old unemployed hairdresser named Carol Joyner and her 2-year-old Damien, turned up one of Michael Mullen's credit cards. Jerome professed ignorance as to how the credit card had come to rest between the cushions of his couch, saying that maybe it had fallen out of the pocket of his friend Tooth when he'd been visiting. Tooth, sadly, had died only a few days ago when he had gotten hold of some extra pure Mexican brown heroin and mixed up a speedball with it. That's how Jerome's fingerprint must have gotten onto the steering wheel, said Jerome. Thinking it had been Tooth's car, Jerome had had to drive Tooth home in it that night. The man was really messed up, and his woman would kill him if he spent the night out again. Jerome hadn't noticed the blood. It must have been on the seat or something. Got transferred to his finger. 2 days after Jerome's arrest, a Friday, he took part in 4 separate police lineups. On the good side of the glass, on these 4 occasions,